Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders walked into this week with that tense mix of hope and disbelief that only a struggling franchise can produce. And fans genuinely felt like this might finally be the moment when everything clicked. After all, the team had just gone toe-to-toe with the Denver Broncos, playing with the kind of fight and energy that suggested something real was brewing under the surface, and with several key players finally getting healthy. This matchup looked like the kind of turning point game that could redefine the season. The anticipation was sky high, the fan base was buzzing, and it felt like the perfect setup for a redemption story. Instead, what we got was a brutal, deflating reminder of who the Commanders really are right now, delivered in the most painful, undeniable way imaginable. It was as if every depressing headline from earlier in the year came roaring back to life all at once, louder and heavier than ever, all week long. The storyline had been clear. Quarterback Jayden Daniels was back after being sidelined for several weeks, after missing valuable time with star receiver Terry McLaurin since that early week to moment. This was supposed to be the reunion, the spark, the return of hope. Fans had been waiting not just for Daniels to return, but for Daniels and McLaurin together to finally show the league what this offense could look like when its most important pieces were actually on the field at the same time. Coaches hyped it up, teammates hyped it up, analysts hyped it up, and the energy around the team genuinely felt different. But once the ball was kicked off, any illusion of progress evaporated instantly. Instead of momentum, instead of growth, instead of promise, the Commanders offered nothing but chaos, defensive collapse, and another injury gut punch that brought their season crashing to a new rock bottom. The defensive performance was the first warning sign that the day was about to spiral. It felt eerily familiar, almost like deja vu from the most painful parts of the season, because once again Washington's defense simply did not show up. They did not compete. They did not adjust. They did not put up even the slightest resistance. This was a Minnesota Vikings offense that had not scored a touchdown in more than 22 consecutive possessions, a staggering streak that made every defensive coordinator in the league lick their lips at the chance to feast. But against the Commanders, that drought vanished immediately. The Vikings marched down the field on their first drive as if the defense didn't exist, scoring with ease, and then did it again on their very next possession. By the time the Commanders realized what was happening, the scoreboard was already sliding out of reach. Minnesota poured in 31 total points with 4 touchdowns, and the Commanders' defense never forced any real discomfort. It was effortless for the Vikings and humiliating for Washington. And it wasn't like they were doing this against a veteran quarterback playing at an elite level. J.J. McCarthy, one of the youngest and rawest starting quarterbacks in the league this season, took the field looking like he had just been handed the easiest assignment of his professional career. Every throw was clean, every read was simple, every drive came with an alarming lack of resistance. When a rookie quarterback looks like a polished superstar because your defense offers him the football equivalent of a red carpet, it tells you everything you need to know about the state of your team. The Commanders were out-schemed, outplayed, and out-hustled on every layer of defense, and it was impossible to deny that this unit has fallen back into being the absolute worst in the league. But what makes this loss even more devastating is that the defense wasn't even the lowest point of the day. As brutal as the missed tackles were, as poor as the coverage looked, as lifeless as the entire group appeared, none of it compared to the sinking feeling that hit the team and the fan base when Jayden Daniels went down. After weeks of rehabbing a dislocated elbow, after grinding to get back on the field, after battling through the doubt and uncertainty, Daniels finally returned, only to get hurt again. And the way it happened made it sting even more. Daniels threw an interception, tried to track down the defender to make a play, and instead got absolutely crushed, landing hard on that same injured arm. He stayed down, and the silence in the stadium told the whole story, because deep down, everyone knew what this meant. The moment he jogged off holding that arm close to his body, the air was sucked out of the entire team. Daniels never looked fully comfortable throughout the game, but after the hit, the frustration took over. He was visibly upset on the sideline, trying to hide the emotion but failing to do so, and honestly, who could blame him? He fought to return, not just for himself, but for his teammates, for the coaching staff, for the fan base desperate for a sign of hope. And within 2.5 quarters, it all came crashing down again. Now the Commanders are forced into a brutal conversation they tried to avoid for weeks. Whether to shut him down for the rest of the season. At this point, risking further injury, physical or mental, feels reckless. Nothing about the way this team is playing suggests there is anything to be gained by throwing Daniels back into the fire again. Meanwhile, on the coaching side, it was another long, painful reminder that this staff still doesn't have the answers. Head coach Dan Quinn delivered a passionate speech recently, trying to motivate the team, insisting that despite the losses, the locker room wasn't lost. It felt powerful in the moment. The kind of message you hope brings a spark, but between the lines on Sunday, that message didn't show up anywhere, not in the execution, not in the discipline, not in the effort, and not in the resilience. Instead, the Commanders got blown out by a Vikings team that entered the matchup playing poorly and lacking confidence. Washington didn't just lose, they made a struggling opponent look dominant. This game wasn't a stumble, it wasn't a bad day, it wasn't even one of those games where the ball just doesn't bounce your way. This was a collapse. This was the kind of loss that reveals everything that is fundamentally broken with the team. And it was made even more embarrassing by the fact that Washington got shut out for the first time since the year 2019, a stat that feels symbolic of just how far they have fallen. When you reach a point where your offense cannot generate a single scoring play over 4 quarters, even with your starting quarterback returning from injury, something is deeply wrong at every level of the organization. The truth is unavoidable now. Everything needs to be torn down and rebuilt. The coaching staff needs changes, starting with a new defensive coordinator who can bring fresh ideas and modern schemes. The roster needs upgrades across nearly every defensive position. The culture needs a reset. The identity needs redefining. And the communication, or lack of communication, needs immediate fixing. Fans aren't just frustrated, they're exhausted. They're tired of hearing about potential. Tired of being told that things are about to turn around. Tired of watching a team that finds new and creative ways to disappoint every single time. The stakes get high enough to matter. This week will be full of hard conversations, and they are long overdue, because after a performance this ugly, this lopsided, this telling, there is no hiding from the truth anymore. The Commanders are not a team still trying to figure things out. They are not a team on the verge of becoming something better. They are, right now, a bad football team with a long road ahead. And the only path forward is accepting that reality and rebuilding the right way. Fans deserve better. Jayden Daniels deserves better. And until the Commanders finally commit to real structural change, embarrassing losses like this one will continue to define them. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. Jayden Daniels has once again found himself at the center of a swirling storm of attention. And this time, the spotlight is shining as brightly as ever. The quarterback of the Washington Commanders has never been one to shy away from speaking his mind, and after a recent clash against the Raiders, he made comments that are already igniting conversations across sports media, locker rooms, and social media feeds everywhere. Daniels' remarks were pointed, candid, and, according to insiders, laced with a level of confidence that borders on provocation. He didn't mince words, stating directly that the Raiders, in his view, are far from the level required to truly compete with a team like the Commanders. Whether you interpret this as bravado, honest assessment, or a strategic psychological play, one thing is clear. Jayden Daniels knows how to make headlines. The context of his statement cannot be understated. Daniels has been under intense scrutiny since stepping into the spotlight as a professional quarterback, drafted into the NFL after an impressive college career with the Arizona State Sun Devils. He showed early on that he possesses a mix of agility, field vision, and decisiveness that many analysts describe as rare for someone at his stage. But with great talent comes great expectations and the pressure to perform, to deliver wins, and to command the respect of teammates and opponents alike is enormous. So when Daniels made his remark about the Raiders being much inferior, it wasn't just a casual comment thrown into the wind. It was a calculated expression meant to underline his competitive mentality and the confidence he has in his own squad. Rumors are swirling fast, and whispers from insiders suggest that Daniels' comment might not sit well in Oakland or wherever. The Raiders' locker room currently feels the sting of being labeled the underdog in the eyes of a rising NFL star. Some coaches reportedly have a mantra of not responding publicly to taunts, believing that actions on the field speak louder than words. But Daniels is a quarterback who thrives in the limelight, a player who understands that perception can sometimes be as influential as performance. When he says the Raiders are inferior, it carries weight because he isn't just any player, he's a leader, the kind of athlete whose words can energize teammates or ignite controversy. Sports commentators and analysts are already dissecting his statement, some calling it a bold move that could motivate the Commanders, while others suggest it could backfire if it fuels the competitive fire of their next opponents. For fans, this is the kind of storyline that keeps the NFL conversation buzzing long after the final whistle. There's something inherently magnetic about a quarterback willing to speak truth, or what he perceives as truth about rival teams. Daniels' college history adds another layer to the narrative. At Arizona State, he spent 3 seasons honing his skills, navigating the pressures of college-level play, and developing a reputation as a player who could make audacious throws and fearless decisions under pressure. His trajectory into the professional leagues was watched closely by scouts and pundits, many of whom noted his mental toughness as much as his physical ability. Now, in the NFL, he is not just executing plays, he is building a persona that combines performance, confidence, and a hint of theatricality. The statement about the Raiders is another piece of that growing puzzle, an insight into the mindset of a quarterback who sees himself as a dominant force in the league. The dynamics of professional football are such that comments like Daniels can ripple far beyond the locker room. Social media platforms erupted almost immediately following the remark, with clips of his press conference circulating rapidly, accompanied by memes, debates, and heated discussions. Analysts broke down his tone, his choice of words, and the timing of his statement, attempting to decode whether this is the prelude to a psychological tactic aimed at the Raiders, or simply the candid honesty of a confident player. Among fans, reactions were polarized. Some hailed Daniels for his fearless honesty, applauding a quarterback unafraid to call it like he sees it, while others questioned the wisdom of potentially motivating an opponent by publicly underestimating them. Either way, the conversation is intense, illustrating just how potent a few words from a high-profile athlete can be in shaping public narrative. Rumor has it that within the Commanders organization, Daniels' teammates are absorbing his comments with a mix of support and cautious optimism. Veterans reportedly see it as the kind of leadership that can rally a team, injecting a sense of superiority and self-belief necessary to dominate challenging matchups. Newer players, still acclimating to the pace and pressure of professional football, are said to be inspired by his assertiveness, taking cues from the way Daniels positions himself not only as a player but as a voice of authority and influence. While the Raiders are presumably preparing quietly, strategizing for their next encounter, the Commanders have an energized locker room, buzzing with confidence that comes from believing they are part of something bigger, guided by a quarterback unafraid to define the narrative before the game even begins. Adding another layer to this ongoing saga, sports media outlets have begun speculating on the broader implications of Daniels' statement. Some suggest that this could mark the beginning of a rivalry narrative where words, strategy, and on-field performance will intertwine to create a storyline as compelling as the games themselves. In professional football, narratives matter almost as much as tactics. The media thrives on players who express personality, who stir emotions, and who allow fans to invest in not just outcomes, but the human drama behind each matchup. Daniels, with his direct and unfiltered communication style, has just provided exactly the kind of storyline that keeps analysts talking, fans tweeting, and commentators debating for hours. Every press conference, every interview, every sideline reaction now carries an added weight, as observers try to determine whether the quarterback's statements are strategic bravado, honest assessment, or a calculated method to plant doubt in the minds of opponents. As the NFL season continues, the ripples from Daniels' comment are unlikely to fade anytime soon. Whether this sparks on-field fireworks in future matchups or remains a footnote in media discussions, it is a testament to the power of voice and presence in professional sports. A quarterback is not only responsible for executing plays, but also for shaping the energy, mindset, and narrative surrounding his team. Jayden Daniels is proving that he understands this dual role intuitively. Every glance, every sideline shout, every interview clip adds to a persona that commands attention and respect. For fans, it is thrilling. For opponents, it is a challenge. And for the sport itself, it is a reminder that football is as much about strategy, psychology, and personality as it is about yards gained and touchdowns scored in the end. What makes Daniels' remarks about the Raiders particularly compelling is the mixture of confidence and controversy they carry, the quarterback's career trajectory. From his formative years at Arizona State to the bright lights of the NFL, frames these comments as more than idle chatter. They are reflections of a mindset forged through years of competition, pressure, and high-stakes performance. The league is watching, fans are buzzing, and rivals are undoubtedly taking notes. Whether the Raiders respond directly or channel their energy silently into preparation, the narrative around Jayden Daniels and the Commanders continues to grow, fueled by a single, provocative statement that captures the imagination, sparks debate, and reinforces the quarterback's emerging identity as a fearless, outspoken, and undeniably talented leader in professional football. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.